All right. Good morning, friends. Today we are going to do my favorite and most useful mod on any car that I own. We're going to install a trailer hitch today. I know for a lot of people they're probably like, "What? It's not tin. It doesn't make it go any faster." But with my lifestyle, with my family, we use the trailer hitch a lot, both for towing, bike racks, and then two other products that I'm going to quickly show at the end of this video that I will do reviews on separately. But the trailer hitch allows us to do all the fun things that we like to do by going camping, towing, biking, all that stuff. So I put a lot of research into which trailer hitches I use, and that's one of the reasons why I picked the Forester Wilderness, is because it could tow more weight than the other Subarus. Granted, it's not the Outback with the turbo setup, but this tows, I think it's like 3,000 pounds. There are a ton of trail hitch options. Popular ones are U-Haul, Kurt, and Ecohitch. I prefer Ecohitch. The one that I ended up getting from them, it has two different types of connections. So a lot of the hitches for Subarus mount up underneath the frame, and there's like a little wire that you lead the bolt through, and it just kind of bolts to the bottom side of the frame. So kind of like goes underneath and they clamp it up. The problem with that is it doesn't allow for a lot of tongue weight, and in my opinion, it's not as secure as ones that bolt to the actual frame of the car in the back where the bumper beam or the crash bar are. This one is awesome because it does both, but with a little bit of a twist. So it bolts onto the bumper beam, but if you see the two posts sticking straight up in the air, those actually slide into the frame and then get clamped down in the frame. That allows this trailer hitch to be good for 3,500 pounds of towing, and the tongue weight is 525 pounds. That being said, this car should never really be towing anything that heavy, but it's always good to have that extra peace of mind knowing that you're way over protected when it comes to towing. The tongue weight, most trailer hitches are like 100 to 250 pounds for Subarus, but I wanted one that could support more, specifically for one accessory that I use on my cars, which right now I'm not going to talk about it, but I'll show you at the end, and again, it'll be another video. So Ecohitch has already put out an amazing video for the full install itself of how it's done. So I'm not going to go into like really like fine details, but I'll explain things before I do them. There's little plastic brackets on the sides of the taillights that you have to pop little plastic clips out. Taillights get pulled out and disconnected. There are a bunch of plastic rivets underneath, or plastic clips underneath the bumper that connect to the little metal framing parts underneath. And then you have to take the plastic clips out that hold the mud flaps, because that kind of gets rid of the fender liner and the mud flap connection to the bumper. At that point, the bumper kind of like pulls out and clips. It's best to do it with two people if you have that, to prevent any type of damage or like dropping and scraping and scratching stuff. When you take the original bumper beam off, there are 3 bolts on each side. You take those off. There are 3 nuts. This one slides into its place, and you literally replace those nuts and bolts. Ecohitch has sent me the hardware that goes with it. But because of those 2 posts sliding in, you also have to go underneath and you have to slide one of the bolts in with a wire, which gets clamped down from underneath. When you do that, you have to remove the heat shield that's above the muffler and cut a little section of the heat shield out, which is really simple. So that way you have access and it doesn't cover the bolt. So you have the 3 points of contact, or the 3 bolts holding it in the back sides, and then you have the one underneath kind of clamping it down. So it is 11:01 right now. I'm going to set the camera up to try to do a time lapse, see if I can get that to work. And then I'm just going to get to work, and I'll let you know how long it takes. It looked like from the install video that it's pretty basic hand tools, some screwdrivers and small stuff to remove all the plastic clips, and the taillights just kind of like pop out after you take 2 bolts out. The heat shield is connected with 3 10mm bolts, and then you have the 6 bolts on the back that you can use with a ratchet, a breaker bar. I'm going to kind of cheat and use my 1/2-inch impact gun to just kind of zip them out. But basic hand tools is all you really need to do this job. So I'm gonna set my camera up, I'm gonna finish eating my breakfast, and then do the install. We'll go from there. All right, it's done. The hitch is installed. And if you haven't guessed by now you know why I wanted a receiver or a hitch that held more than 200 pounds when it came to the tongue weight. This Adventure Hammock Systems setup and myself will say weigh just over 200 pounds. But honestly, my better half, our son, they like to hang out in this all the time. When I'm setting up camp, she's in it. So this was a big deciding factor on which hitch we got, was something that could hold a little bit more weight in the back. And it allows us to tow some slightly larger trailers. I do think, because of the height of my car, I'm gonna have to shorten the straps a little bit, so that way my butt's not hitting the ground every time. But the hitch went on probably about an hour and 20 minutes. You probably saw it in the little sped up section. It was not hard at all. I did run the wiring through a grommet in the corner of the bumper over here and through the inside of the bumper and comes out the bottom. I know the wiring that Ecohitch gives you, a lot of people plug it into the OEM connector and just when they need it, feed it out the trunk. I prefer to keep it always wired and set up on the back. Eventually I'll get a nice little connector and a 7-pin connector to put in the back so I can charge battery stuff and things like that in the camping trailer, or if I get one large enough that needs trailer brakes, I can control them. But very simple, only need some basic hand tools. I do recommend that the washers that Ecohitch gives you for the connecting the hitch to the bumper beam itself, to get a slightly larger washer. The ones that they give you work fine. My personal preference is just a little bit more washer. That's it. Everything went nice and smooth. Just take your time. Basic hand tools. Anyone can do it in their garage. I know that I'm a little bit more experienced when it comes to modifying cars and doing this stuff. So if it took me an hour, just over an hour, should take an average person that's never done this before, maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours. It really wasn't bad. I also was taking breaks to stop and talk to Brian, the owner of Mod My Rig and Kaizen Inserts. Thank you to them for letting me use their shop again and sit in the shade. It's kind of humid today, so it was nice working in the shade and having all the tools at my disposal again. That's it. The next videos that I plan on doing is a really cool review video of this Adventure Hammock System setup, and then there is a hitch fire cook setup that goes in the hitch receiver I plan on reviewing as well. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Till next time.